Hello, my name's Conor and this is our online presentation of the Seamus Heaney Awards for New Writing 2020. As you can see, it's a glorious afternoon here in East Belfast on today when I'm recording in what must be said are very strange and different times for all of us. It's at times like this when communities need vision, need hope for the future, need space to reflect, and need to see and feel and appreciate still the beauty and the elegance in our world. And these are things that the poets supply in abundance, and that indeed many of us rely on as a constant in our lives. And now, more than ever, I would suggest, we also need to feel a sense of connection, a sense of common purpose, and we need to understand the new trajectories that our lives can take as things feel very different, very changed in the world that we live in. At this time as well, when we're assailed by constant threat and fear, it is a difficult time to be creative. Our primitive minds battle, fight or flee threats. And since the coronavirus threat seems to be ever present, it is very, very difficult for the creative community to find the headspace, the creative space to engage in those normal acts of creativity and thoughtfulness and reflection without the sheer noise of these changed times interfering with our thoughts and our ability to reflect. And indeed, if times are changed, we also need people to take time and perhaps play back to us at some point what their sense of that change has been, and to give us an insight into how they approach this new phase, this very altered way of engaging or disengaging, of connecting and reconnecting. And of course we need vision, and that is the title of our most recent anthology. And indeed a great many of the pieces that are published within it are beautiful in their visionary power, but also give us a clearer insight into the very personal spaces, the personal sights and views and reflections. And thank you to all the poets who have contributed. A great many of you will not see your work until we post it back out, but today is really about revealing who among the longlisted has made it to the shortlist, and indeed who will become the 2020 winner of the Seamus Heaney Award for New Writing. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Shelley Tracey now to take you through the candidates, as it were, the Longlisted. And I'll be back to offer a few words at the end. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shelley Tracey. I'm the Poetry in Motion coordinator, and I have great pleasure in bringing you the long list for the Seamus Heaney Award for New Writing. And I'm just going to give you the names of the poets on the long list with the titles of their poems in the order in which you're going to be seeing them in this film. So we're going to start off with Alana Offield with Snakeskin, then Amy Louise Wyatt with two poems, Bugaboo and My Granny's Budgies, James Milliken with Lichen, Catherine May with Villanelle for Sylvia, Gaynor Kane with Duck Duck Goose, Lindsay Hodges with Bypass, Judith Thurley with Dragonfly, Nancy Graham with Hurting as a Rule, and her other poem, A Pigeon Fancier Awaits His Favourite, Martin Crummy with The Language of Stones, Tom Adair with From Divis, Claire Gallagher with Maeve at a Mirror, and Lucy Beaver with After the Tree Surgeon. Enjoy watching the poets.
Hello, my name is Alana Offield, and this is my poem titled Snakeskin. This body could never be a whisper anyway. This body was made for fast food fluorescent lights and sings the sound of sweating thighs on leather. But once I learned to work its marionette strings. Once I made this body technicolor, oversaturated. Once I shrank this body enough to drown in its tears. Under the body's spell, I shed my old clothes like plus-size snakeskin. I left them behind, buried. I snuck it into crop tops, bikinis, any shop I wanted, knowing I could find my size, drunk on belonging. I should have known this body was an illusionist. Eventually, the smoke clears and the mirrors are cleaned, and I found the new body's bones jangling like keys, muscles unsure and wilted as overwatered plants. All the new clothes became ill-fitting prayers. The body is an outlaw, a flirt. I exhume the old body, the fat girl body. I lay all the new body's clothes to rest in a casket beneath my bed. I bury the body of walking and dancing and running with hands held, and I shake the dust from my familiar skin. Thank you.
Bajiba, 1984. And my granda reaching for the unreachable branch. The flower he is picking is for me, a white peony, open and awake. Fighting through dark leaves to reach a halo of bright flowers, he is heavenward, tiptoed, stretching body through space-time, reaching for the Olympus moon. I am buggy-bound, curly-haired, entitled, observing him, anthropic. If I asked, he would reach into the black, unhook the rings of Saturn to place around my neck. Always he is balancing, spanning the gap, plucking white peonies, promising to love me. My granny's budgies. I remember the bites more than the birds, those hooked beaks, birds caged so long they didn't understand their wings. They couldn't fly, they wouldn't sing, rigid bodies like angry missiles. I wonder at the purpose of keeping birds that never fly, essence trapped in feathers of downy dead still wings. If I, a budgie in a cage, sensed the air through bars and saw this space, and felt desire to fly, to topple heights, to be a flash of colour in the sky, I too would thrust the only part of me that fits through those thin shafts, to rip and hook and bite the flesh from anything that moves in the expanse.
Lichen. It was like a map of uncertainty. Townland borders meandering round drumlins, lochs and streams. A haphazard geography. Or fractal patterns spiralling behind the eyes in the moments between sleep and dreams, between an inner and outer reality. What we had thought was bare rock, ashen, barren, was encrusted in a living rind, delicate yet resistant to the elements. We traced the lines of growth, the stippled charcoal beads fringing a patchwork of colour, marvelled at the subtlety, and we gave names to the shades: pistachio, sage, mint, old gold, eerily grey, faded dream, vinegar hill, famished valley, speckled crust. And we lay there, imagining we could feel the creep of the lichen, the slow symbiosis, distance, years, rain, wind, dust.
Villanelle for Sylvia by Catherine May. Remote sites are now under ultrasonic surveillance. Liver, brain, bone, unseen para-security apparatus, primary lung lesion, small cell lung cancer. Remote sites are now under ultrasonic surveillance. Mum isn't particularly well. I'll make contact shortly. Tumours live along the border, unseen para-security apparatus. Infrared heat seekers toilet train extremely aggressive vermin. Remote sites are now under ultrasonic surveillance. Other undesirable locations overheat internally. Lymphatic submucosal vessels, unseen para-security apparatus. Regional lymph nodes burn up inside. Bronchial invasion. Remote sites are now under ultrasonic surveillance. Unseen para-security apparatus.
This is Duck Duck Goose. The first year they arrived, people made jokes about there being just enough time to fatten them up for Christmas dinner. We women in rollered headscarves, slippers, slacks and anoraks came out daily with leftovers and the prized heel of the plain loaf. The thick one, not the skittery one. Dogs that once roamed the estate freely, now chained up, howling, hungry mouths foaming. Liberal Icelandic greylegs flew across thousands of miles of sea to land in the lower Shankill on the green, and the signs that no one seemed to see said no games. Greylegs with grey-scale peppered plumage paraded around the square. But things are black and white here, except murals, red hands, and camouflage commandos. Big men with puffed out chests strutted about, warning that no necks were to be wrung, not even a single feather ruffled. These birds had their heads nestled under loyalist paramilitaries' wings. In spring, they took to the skies in skeins of fee for victory, now returning annually, just before Remembrance Day wreaths are laid. Thank you.
Bypass. They've torn Burntollet down, the bridge that marked the start of things, a January ambuscade, the bitter river in full spate. Now it's the parapet that takes the hit, as workmen trail their yellow coats, provoke the cobbles to collapse for one long march of cars. The planners now turned arbiters of what history remains, what goes, a blind eye turned to clearances, to dual city onto city after 50 years. Nowhere has been left unscathed. Stone answers stone as word has followed word in what we learnt according to our place, a postcode's throw to difference, a slant in point of view. The rights and wrongs disintegrate as symbols are interred. Memory takes longer to erase. Now landscape speaks its truth. Trees disappeared, the dens, the holts laid waste. Wild foxgloves jab their fingers up in one last protest at the bypass, ragwort trembling as the trucks close in. Won't even find a home as footnotes in the margins. The birds, with nowhere left to settle, flood onward towards the border, make their crossing while they can.
Dragonfly. Eons you have hovered over turlough, bog and loch. Delicate, spectacular, a turquoise twig with wings, still practicing being airborne, airbrushed into the foreground of this hot Armagh forenoon. The loch quivers in gold silk, reeds rustle nearby, and peace pours over us out of the infinite sky. Bar the men fishing, we have the drowsy loch to ourselves, while you, ancient one, carboniferous ancestor, clatter metallic through alder and sedge, patrolling the summer peatlands. Bejewelled needle, carnelian spike, your shed nymph skins jostle among the reeds. Snahaj war, Kalug Chalinya, your names are poetry. Guramacht Erenach, azure bluet, beautiful jewel wing, Aishna Cyania, Isknura elegans. Oh, little jittery sliver of heaven beyond my reach, you teach me beauty, colour, light. Small wonder I am forever pointing, gasping, crying out.
So when we were children, we spent all our holidays up at my grandparents' in the Highlands, and this is a poem from that time. It's called Hurting as a Rule. All summer the hills belonged to us. We grew tired of green occasionally. Such times we'd set gleeful trails round the upstairs bedroom, leap from the drawer's slippery height onto bosomy double bed, hilariously staggering a little in its plump give, jump down and race round the bed end to tap each ornament on the rickety dressing table, the elegant china ladies, the purple wall of glass. Barefoot, of course, our t-shirts soon came off. Stripped down, we spanked each other's bum in turn, in breathless adherence to the game. We were not caught that time, And time cartwheeled on till Sunday evening found us shimmying on velvet nibbled grass, feeling the warm air like paradisial breeze alert us to our small nipples and oxters and sweaty heads, the pleasure stored in our nimble bodies. At the edge of the garden, a rabbit frisked away, apparent in the moment of vanishing. We made it part of our dance, slow to see Granny drawn tightly upright at the door. How did our golden litheness wound her so? Not that she spurned our anxious hugs, but the day had spoiled. It was the Sabbath, neighbours just 2 fields across. I have done more harm than I know. Okay, and my second poem is very short. The title is the longest part. It's called Pigeon Fancier Awaits His Favourite. She might return flamboyant on a night such as this. Sky washed orange, operatic mountains, nascent star. He'll open his hand, let her eat from it, the nib of her on his palm, softly unfolding a contoured map of air.
The Language of Stones. The Geologists Association Summer Field Meeting, August 1935. According to proceedings, J.E. Ritchie SCD conducts the party, 28 geologists in gentry tweeds, around Sleep Gullion's ring complex, examining the rocks exposed on weathered slopes and scooped out quarry walls. Field notes penned in blue-black ink record investigations of the fractured strata buckled out of zinc, contorted, moulded, sculpted by 400 million years of seismic shifts, volcanic fire and mile-thick grinding ice. And chiaroscuro sketches capture landscape features, accurately captioned with their proper annotations. Biotite and basalt and dikes of lambda-fire, breccias of granite and vent agglomerates, porphyritic felsite and felspar, phenocrests, xenoliths and gabbro, and olivine and quartz. They pause along the Kegel Road to marvel at the wrench fault where the ring dike has been split and one half shifted 1 full mile, creating space for Camla Lake. I wonder did they see my father standing in the quarry, sledge in hand, amidst the rocks they've catalogued and studied in a language all their own. Barely 20, rarely schooled, he calls them stones, and sees them with a mason's eye, and knows exactly where to crack them open with a hammer, how to split them with a plug and feather, shear off headstone slabs or lumps for walls, to separate the fields or well-faced blocks to build another room or cattle byre against the gable of a mountain farmer's home.
From Divis. From Divis, it is all downhill again, slipping the silky air, a rash of corn, a field unbarbered after rain. Seeing below our house in twilight, framed in its photograph, not yet taken, of back streets tenanted by shadows, by all our graces and disgraces. Father hunched in the hush of a lull, mother in bed, battling to read by the light of anger. He at the wireless, meaty fingers warbling the dial, lit by the shimmer of the mantle casting its Caravaggio bloom across his sorrow. Suddenly, hooking a foreign station through the static, the lovely loneliness of it, Athlone. She moves her lips to the secret missals of Agatha Christie, Dorothy Sayers, Annie S. Swan. She knows who'd done it in her dreams. I, safely home, descended like Moses, pinned under the dead weight of wartime stitched together bedding. Pray for Granny's departed soul, senses burgled by the whistle of a goods train from the docks in far-off rain, by the purr of hypnagogic voices. And then, staccato, Alice True, clandestine beauty queen of my bird's nest, breath-held world, comes sallying home and enters my dreams without a key.
Maeve at a mirror. You lean over the pink plastic sink. Smile at finding yourself in a mirror. There's nothing you don't yet like. I envy you your ease. You strike the tap and it sings back. This is the way we wash our face. The mirror is cheap and narrow, but you may get used to it. You will grow up in glass. Each day it will take a copy of you. It's just getting started. Bone structure, eyes, symmetry, skin. You'll take its likeness too, borrow its tendency towards reflection, its ability to hold when shattered, its need always to give something back. In time, you'll try to give these back, only to number them among the non-returnables, and so you will walk towards it. Invite mirrors into the rooms of your house. Place them where light is kindest. I can do little about what you will see there, and I am too early to speak of shallow waters. You are young and in love with yourself. Instead, I turn the plastic tap and we smile to the sound of a tiny sink, filling with nothing at all.
After the tree surgeon, a torrent of light drenches the room, anoints the sleeping greyhound.
There are many people who helped to make this year's anthology possible. CAP's anthology for 2019-2020 is called Vision, and we'd like to thank very much the poets who contributed and the poet facilitators in whose workshops many of the poems were drafted and honed. So we'd like to say a very special thank you to Deirdre Cartmill, Denise Blake, Frank Ormsby, Frank Rafferty, Freya Seren, Kelly Crichton, Linda Tavakoli, Moira Donaldson, Olive Broderick, Stephanie Conn, and Teresa Kane.
So there you have the selection, the long list of this year's Seamus Heaney Award for New Writing 2020. And as they say in these parts, it's a different day now. It's clouded over somewhat. But from that long list, then we have also a short list, and that will be revealed in just a moment or two. But first I'd like to thank quite a few people. Firstly, I'd like to thank Mary Heaney, Seamus's widow, for her continuing support and endorsement of community arts partnerships, programs, in particular, of course, Poetry in Motion Schools and Poetry in Motion Community. It's tremendous, it's humbling, and it's an incredible salute to the hard work that this organisation has put in over 20 years, that we continue to host the only award in the world that carries Seamus's name. The awards, and indeed the whole process, couldn't take place without the continued support of our Arts Council as well. And I'd like to pay tribute to the Arts Council of Northern Ireland in these difficult times for giving assurances that we will not be forgotten, and that all arts organisations can find ways to navigate these incredibly strange and challenging times. I'd like to thank our other core funder, the Belfast City Council, for their continuing support as well. I'd like to thank each and every poet who contributed to this year's Vision Anthology. Poets who attended masterclasses, and indeed poets who gave masterclasses. Thank you to all of you for being so generous in your support of others. And I'd also like to offer some words to our poets, that the standard of work every year continues to amaze. Having read each and every word that was submitted and pored over by the panel, we are assured that we have come to the best choice of Shortlist and indeed winner this year. And the panel comprised this year of Damien Smith, the head of literature in the Arts Council, Moira Donaldson, the redoubtable poet, Kathleen McCracken, tremendous poet, and of course the winner of last year's Seamus Heaney Awards for New Writing, and myself, ably abetted and assisted by Shelley Tracey in our deliberations. And this process was, it takes a while. We read through the poetry over quite a few weeks on our own, and then we come together, and it normally takes a day, and indeed this time it did take a full day. And it's a tremendous exercise to sit and ponder and read and talk about new poetry and not be in any way affected by a name or a reputation, because we see it all anonymously. And then to see names emerge at the very end when we have made our choices. So this year's shortlist is as follows. For Lichen, James Milliken is shortlisted. Well done, James. For Boogeyba 1984, Amy Louise Wyatt is shortlisted. Congratulations, Amy. Tremendous stuff. And now for the runner-up. And indeed, this year we had a dead heat for runner-up. So we have two runner-ups, or runners-up, whichever way you wish to spell it. But they're both the same poet. So for The Pigeon Fancier, and indeed Hurting as a Rule, my congratulations to Nancy Graham for both these exquisite pieces of poetry. Well done. Congratulations, Nancy. And the winner of this year's Seamus Heaney Awards 2020 for New Writing is for the poem Maeve at a Mirror by Claire Gallagher. Hearty congratulations, Claire. Well done to you. A tremendous piece of work. It instantaneously connected with people, and it survived round after round of our deliberation because it really had insight, it had power, it had lyricism, and it was an elegantly crafted piece of poetry, and indeed it is a beautiful poem. And of course we all read it in slightly different ways, which again is the great beauty and the great power and the great communicative power and expressive power of good poetry. And indeed our long list, our short list, and our worthy winner, these are all great poems, and we're delighted to publish them in our anthology this year, Vision. So thank you to all who have contributed, thank you to all who have supported, thank you to Shelley Tracey for her indefatigable support and dedication to you as poets, to the community organisations and writers groups that she supports through her coordination. And thank you to Stephen Tunnelly for pulling together the anthology as he does every year, and for assisting with the video production of these awards. It's really changed times. We don't know when things will change back, if they ever will. But art will always be with us. Art has a way of living beyond these existential moments, and it is with a certain vision and a certain understanding that I know you creative people out there will endure, will prevail, and we need you more than ever. Thank you very much, and well done to Claire Gallagher for the Seamus Heaney Award for New Writing 2020 with her poem Maeve at a Mirror. Thank you.
Maeve at a mirror. You lean over the pink plastic sink. Smile at finding yourself in a mirror. There's nothing you don't yet like. I envy you your ease. You strike the tap and it sings back. This is the way we wash our face. The mirror is cheap and narrow, but you may get used to it. You will grow up in glass. Each day it will take a copy of you. It's just getting started. Bone structure, eyes, symmetry, skin. You'll take its likeness too, borrow its tendency towards reflection, its ability to hold when shattered, its need always to give something back. In time, you'll try to give these back, only to number them among the non-returnables, and so you will walk towards it. Invite mirrors into the rooms of your house. Place them where light is kindest. I can do little about what you will see there, and I am too early to speak of shallow waters. You are young and in love. with yourself. Instead, I turn the plastic tap and we smile to the sound of a tiny sink, filling with nothing at all.